In 1982, a group of young people in California developed sudden and severe Parkinson's-like symptoms. They had all used a synthetic heroin contaminated with MPTP, a chemical that destroys brain cells responsible for movement. This tragic accident was, well, a wake-up call. It revealed the devastating impact of environmental toxins on our brains. The MPTP tragedy served as a stark warning, a harbinger of the looming threat posed by man-made chemicals. It underscored a chilling truth: our environment could harbor invisible enemies, silently inflicting irreversible damage. This incident sparked a wave of research into environmental triggers of Parkinson's disease. Scientists began to connect the dots between exposure to certain chemicals and the development of this debilitating neurological disorder. The MPTP tragedy became a pivotal moment, shifting the understanding of Parkinson's from a purely idiopathic disease to one with potential environmental roots. The case also exposed a critical weakness: the lack of regulatory oversight and understanding of the long-term neurological effects of chemicals. The world had witnessed a man-made disaster, and the question arose: could other chemicals be silently wreaking havoc on our neurological health? Parkinson's disease, once considered a rare disorder, has reached epidemic proportions. In the past 2 decades alone, the number of people living with Parkinson's has more than doubled. This dramatic rise cannot be explained by genetics alone. It points to environmental factors, specifically our exposure to toxic chemicals, as primary culprits. The rapid increase in Parkinson's coincides with the intensification of industrial agriculture and the widespread use of synthetic pesticides. These chemicals designed to kill pests have infiltrated our environment, our food chain, and ultimately, our bodies. The implications are staggering. Millions are now living with a debilitating disease, their lives irrevocably altered by a neurodegenerative condition, largely preventable. The global surge in Parkinson's cases is a pressing public health crisis. It demands urgent attention and a critical examination of the role environmental toxins play in this alarming trend. We are witnessing a slow and silent pandemic, fueled by our reliance on harmful chemicals. The time to act is now, before countless more lives are tragically impacted. Among the many pesticides implicated in Parkinson's disease, paraquat and glyphosate stand out.
Paraquat, a herbicide chemically similar to MPTP, has been linked to Parkinson's in numerous studies. Despite being banned in the European Union, it remains widely used in other parts of the world, including the United States.
Glyphosate, the world's most widely used herbicide, is also suspected of contributing to Parkinson's.
While the exact mechanisms are still being investigated, studies suggest that glyphosate disrupts mitochondrial function and triggers inflammation, both of which are implicated in neurodegenerative diseases like Parkinson's.
These chemicals, heralded as tools for agricultural advancement, now stand accused of contributing to a global health crisis.
The widespread use of paraquat and glyphosate, despite mounting evidence of their neurotoxicity, is a testament to the flawed regulatory systems that govern pesticide use.
It highlights the immense influence of agrochemical companies and their relentless pursuit of profit over public health.
Current pesticide regulations are, woefully inadequate. They just fail to properly assess the long-term neurological effects of these chemicals.
Testing, unfortunately, focuses primarily on acute toxicity, completely ignoring the potential for chronic, low-dose exposure to cause irreversible damage over time.
Exactly. This narrow focus creates such a dangerous blind spot, allowing harmful chemicals to slip through the cracks.
Furthermore, the burden of proof lies with scientists and public health advocates to demonstrate harm rather than with manufacturers to prove safety.
And this approach, favoring industry interests over public health, has, sadly, allowed potentially dangerous chemicals to remain on the market for years, even as evidence of their harm continues to grow.
The regulatory system, designed to protect us, has instead become a shield for corporate interests, perpetuating a cycle of exposure and disease.
This regulatory failure, it's a betrayal of public trust. Immediate reform is critical. Rigorous testing for long-term neurotoxic effects, a shift in the burden of proof to manufacturers, and increased transparency and accountability in the pesticide approval process. These are all essential steps we need to take.
The link between pesticides and Parkinson's disease, it's undeniable. Geographic patterns of the disease make it even clearer.
Studies have consistently shown a higher incidence of Parkinson's in agricultural regions where pesticide use is intense.
Take vineyard workers in France, for instance. they're exposed to high levels of pesticides, and their risk of developing Parkinson's is, well, significantly greater.
These real-world observations provide compelling evidence of the environmental underpinnings of Parkinson's.
It's a stark reminder, really. The geographic clustering of Parkinson's cases, it's like a visual representation of the human toll of unchecked pesticide use.
The evidence is clear. Where pesticide exposure is high, so too is the risk of Parkinson's.
This correlation, it's undeniable, and it demands immediate action to protect vulnerable populations and curb the rising tide of this devastating disease.